I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery, and today I want to talk about figuring out your reasons for quitting drinking. And I could talk all day long about this. I could talk for a week about the different reasons for quitting. Psychological, environmental, spiritual, financial, physical. There's a load of reasons. There's too many. But they're not going to make much sense to you because everybody's reasons for quitting are different. I'm not saying that in the sense of that in general your reasons are going to be different. You might think, well, like I do think about my health and stuff like that, but you might think, well, I do think about my family. But they're not going to be the defining reasons that are going to help you to quit because they haven't got a personal face to them. I could tell you, like my son and my partner are the two people in my life that I really wanted to quit for. Another person is my dad. But, at the end of the day, that means nothing to you. What does mean something to you are the people in your life that you care about, the people that you can put faces to and voices to and you can attach emotions to. And it's those emotions that are going to take you across the starting line. I'm going to put these glasses on. Take for instance health reasons to stop drinking. I mean, does it make any difference to you if I say to you 2.5 million people every single year die from alcohol related causes? It doesn't really. It might go, Jesus, that's a lot, especially when you put it up against the 250,000 that die from all the other illegal drugs put together. It's a shocking figure. But whether it affects you or not is a different thing. And, without the emotions, it's very difficult to get a figure like that to have any meaning. In the same vein, it doesn't make any difference to you whether I say, well, over 200 medical conditions are caused through drinking alcohol. We all know these facts. We all know that there's dangers involved. It's the same as anyone who smokes nowadays knows that there are inherent dangers involved, and that the cons of smoking, the disadvantages of smoking far outweigh the benefits. And it's exactly the same with alcohol, except we just haven't copped onto that fact yet. But we all know these dangers, that's the point. If you're at the stage where you're seriously contemplating quitting drinking, then you're already going through some negative consequences, some negative personal consequences. So you might be feeling some physical effects. Maybe your liver is hurting, or you just might be feeling crap, or you're sick of the hangovers and all that kind of stuff. You might also be having problems in your relationships. You might be having problems in your work, whatever. These are all negative consequences on a personal level. These are things that you can associate with. But if you don't want to stop, if you don't really want to stop drinking, then no matter how much you try, you're not going to succeed, because you're always going to be wanting to come back to alcohol. And even if you do succeed, it's going to be sort of a lifelong battle. And who the fuck wants that? It's not something that I relish in my life. So it's all perspective anyway. You don't have to look at it like that. If deep down inside you think that alcohol has got any part to play in your life, in any way, shape or form, if you think that it offers you a benefit, then it's going to be very difficult for you. And in the beginning, you always are going to have a certain amount of momentum behind you. You're always going to be able to rely on that momentum. People might be in your ear telling you that unless you quit, this thing is going to happen. Maybe you've got your spouse is saying to you, look, she's sick of what you're doing to yourself, or maybe you've gone into work late on one too many occasions, and your boss is sick of it and has given you your final warning. So that's going to give you a certain amount of momentum. It's going to give you a certain amount of determination to quit. The problem is that if you don't really want to quit, if you don't really feel like it's time for you to quit, and if you look at alcohol as having those benefits, then that's self-determination. That determination is going to start slipping. Once the initial conflict that drove you to quitting drinking in the first place starts to fade into the background, once you're getting this congratulations and well done and from your spouse, or your work is going fine, then how easy is it to sort of slip back into your old routine again? Even if it's very slowly, which is normally what happens, is like, oh well, I'll just have a drink at the weekends, or I'll have one or two at the weekend, and then it's sort of turns into a bender, and everyone knows what happens. It's just a fact of life. But in reality, what you really need to do is to look at the reasons for quitting and see if they're your own. And by that, I mean that are you only quitting because of other people that are putting pressure on you, because there's conflict being caused in your life from other people? If that's the case, then you really have to sort of make these decisions your own. Like I say, it's helpful to sort of view alcohol as the drug that it is, and to make comparisons with alcohol and taking any other drug like heroin. It's helpful to sort of look at your relationships in your life, and just see who the people are that you really care about, and what your drinking is doing to them. And you'll find that in every case that there is some consequences to other people. For me, it was, like I say, my son and my partner, and mostly my son. I thought I was being a really bad example to him. I wasn't being the best father that I could be, while I was encouraging my son that alcohol was a good thing to do. It's only later on in life now that I'm starting to sort of see things better. It's only later in life that I'm starting to see, it's only after I've stopped drinking that I'm actually starting to see alcohol as a drug, and to try and interject that into our conversations as much as possible. And he doesn't like it, and I don't like saying it to him, but it has to be done. And I feel that by not doing it, I'm not being a good dad. So that was one of the big reasons for me quitting. One of the best things that you can do at this stage is to sit down and take a pen and a piece of paper and write down your pros and cons of drinking. Write down all the things that you get from drinking, all the benefits, and all the disadvantages. Write down the things that alcohol is stopping you from doing. The things that you want to do, but you can't because you're a drinker. Somebody said to me recently about that if you drink 3 hours a day for 3 days a week, that at the end of the year you've lost a month of waking time. And I agree with the figure, but I was talking about this last night to my son. He was telling me about a hangover that he had, and I said, the reason why I stopped drinking was because not only was I losing the time that I was drinking, so far more than 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, it was nearly every day, but I was also losing valuable time the next day while overcoming a hangover. And all that time, it just felt like a real vicious cycle that I couldn't stop. I was spending this time in a spiral, and all I could see was things getting worse and worse. that scared me half to death and really gave me a good impetus at the beginning. It's just a good idea to look at your reasons to quit, your own personal reasons to quit, and try and find as many as you can. You'll find that when you sit down and do this, that one thing will spark another one. You'll start triggering off one thing, and it'll make you think of something else, and before you know it, you'll have a lot of reasons on your page to stop. So if you haven't gone over to the website and signed up to the newsletter, then do that. It's absolutely free. If you have any questions about this or any of the other videos, then get in contact with me, and I'll either do a video or I'll answer you directly. Till next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for Alcohol Mastery. Onwards and upwards.